A cold bowl of frumenti is laid on the platform, waiting when you come out of the library. You feel flattered. He flew all the way down for you. Perhaps this is his way of thanking you for pushing him to safety. All in all, you do not expect this to be a regular occurrence. He threatened your life, after all. Twice. The first frumenti, though, you cannot explain away as easily. Did he feel bad for his treatment of you? Was it some sort of apology? Or does he intend to bribe you, to manipulate you into feeling grateful so you are more willing to? If you knew what he was, you would be better at guessing his goals. While eating breakfast, you get to the sea in the Bellua Obscura. You read of the Cyclops, not the one the Greeks chronicled, but a giant creature with one eye from which it shoots a beam capable of turning you to stone. Like Medusa. Like Medusa. It is slow, but strong, and upon its death, its victims are reanimated, changed back to flesh and bone. The Silver Man looks decidedly different from the drawings of this beast. Having gone up to the stream, and having washed the bowl and spoon and yourself, you return to the library with a pretty little iridescent bug to add to your collection. And yet again your plans are ruined by a certain someone reeking of liquor and bile passed out in a puddle of puke. You are not pushing him inside. There is a limit to what you are willing to endure, and imagining the feeling of slimy vomit on your skin. That is the limit. Should this be some sick test of his to see if you shall come to his rescue again, you do not intend to pass. You leave him to his fate, uncertain if he will be there tomorrow. And sure enough, he still lies sprawled on the stairs when you come up from your temporary home the next day. Some flies, which first buzzed around the corpses, have begun to taste the splatters of his bath. As he is, he seems to belong there, as dead and dirty as the staked corpses around him. Fresh meat for the flies to eat. Or wandering night creatures. If this is indeed a test, he is dedicated to it. He cannot have moved. The half-digested pools of food have not smeared anywhere. Hesitantly, you come closer to investigate. The stench dampens your approach, though, and it takes effort not to cower over and throw up yet again. You pinch your nose to block the smell, to stop the nausea from spreading further than it has to. This sick feeling shooting down into your gut is starting to grow old. So does the sight of bright silver dulled by grime and slime. A slight sheen of sweat reflects off his skin. How strange. The eighth. Though you do not desire to come into contact with any of his filth, you lie a hand upon his brow. He is hot to the touch. He is burning up, though his heart rate feels normal. He has caught a fever. The only part of him which seems it would not moisten your palm with some sort of bodily fluid is his hair. Matted with mud, sure, but you would rather wash that dry crust off your hands afterwards than any gross bile that came out of his stomach. So you drag and tug him inside by matted locks. If pulling at his hair fails to rouse him, you know not what will. You know not what is more alarming. The fact his eyes remain shut, or the pus leaking out in a braid-like pattern from his chest, and more comes from underneath his coat. Lovely. It seems he has a death wish, dancing around the place bare-chested with infected wounds and wine. He likely rubs puke into his injuries, you think. Does not bathe, simply lets his filth fester. Do you truly need to help him anymore? At least like this, he cannot kill you for disobeying his rule of not entering the castle under any circumstances. His current situation should allow you to take some liberties. There are self-lit torches not too unlike the ones down in the library here, too, and for the first time you can take the entrance hall of the castle in at leisure. Pillars line its sides, and behind them are hallways and doors underneath arches which lead to more corridors. The place is like a maze. One of them, when you enter, opens up into a large laboratory which houses a huge telescope to watch for the stars at its end. Above hangs a copper-colored metal model of the solar system with the 6 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturnus. You are glad the Silver Man is subscribed to the solar-centric theory as well. At least his intellect is somewhat sound, or at least his madness extends not to the reasoning part of his brain. The room is in a state of despair. Vials much bigger than yourself are of shattered glass. Only one remains whole and contains a colorless liquid. And books are strewn around from their shelves if their containers are not half wrecked already. Dried blood spills from the wooden counters onto gray and gold and red tiles. Some of those are dislodged, and test tubes have spilt their contents all over the floor and workspaces. The only part which seems untouched by the chaos seems to the upper floor, which has shelves upon shelves of books pertaining to whatever went on here. While you retreat back to the main hall, you pass a globe. On it is a continent, unfamiliar to you, labeled as America. It is disconnected from the rest of the world by two of the greatest oceans. If the Belmonts ever went there, you imagine they would stumble upon monsters twice as fearsome as a cyclops or vampire. But you are getting distracted. Right now, you need to find a place to clean the Silver Man. Soon enough will you find it. But first, you arrive at a wine cellar. You search for the aqua vitae. The stronger the alcohol, the better it fights the infection. In the back you find something which smells the strongest, the most putrid of liquors. Quick, you come back to the main hall. Spending too much time in there is sure to make you throw up again. Fortunately, the third door on the right leads to a kitchen, rather mundane compared to the grandiosity of the rest of this castle. It has a large sink, and above it of them protrudes a tube of the same copper color as the solar model, with a small handle attached to it. You pull, and water pours out on its own accord. Either this castle uses a similar system the Romans employed, or it simply is magic. Neither are implausible. But, from what you can tell, the water is clear, cold, and devoid of impurities. Safe. Safe enough to wash him with, at the very least. Now you know that there is a convenient, close option to bathe. You are much more willing to get dirty yourself. He is still unconscious upon your return. Yet however heavy and slimy and gross as he is, you still manage to carry him and lay him down on the table in the middle of the kitchen and take off his coat without any protest from him, and less than you expected from your own muscles. The frumenti did you good. God. It is much worse than you thought. All over his arms and chest are lines, wrapping around as if a snake strangled him too hard, where pus pours out. The smell of vomit fills the room. Underneath the faucet, a rod with a knob on its end juts out a little from the wall. You assume it is to control stop or resume the drainage of the sink, as it is not too unlike the crude mechanisms of your old master. You pull it out fully. Fill the basin with water and leave his coat in it. Later you shall worry about the lye and beating stick to launder it. At the moment you worry about getting him to a somewhat hygienic state. First you wash your arms and hands clean of any lingering bath. In one of the cabinets you find clean cloths, and you gather a bundle of them. You set them aside, on the table. One of them you wet with the tap above the sink. Second, you wipe at his wounds, taking away the pus and grime. He seems peaceful, like this. His face is neutral as it always is, but unconsciously a relaxed softness has spread. You dare say the slightest smile graces it. Oh, he is coming back from the dead, regaining consciousness. His eyes do not flutter gradually, gently, like one would expect them to after staying shut for as long as they have. Instead, his head snaps to you, and his silver eyes pierce right through you. All your senses go on high alert. The moist cloth stays on his shoulder. You feel cornered, caught. His words echo in your mind. You're not to enter the castle, under any circumstances. Now you regret ever thinking you would be allowed to ignore them if the circumstance was to treat him. Any softness is gone from his features. They are tense. But a schooled disinterest quickly masks the minor furrow of his brow, the thinning of his mouth. I thought the rules were crystal clear. You hold your breath. Do you have a death wish? His voice is smooth, stolid, but it rings so low you barely hear it over your heart beating in your ears, even this close. Rather, would it not be him who has a death wish, for the way he neglects himself, leaves himself outside covered in his own vomit? Do you? I don't. I wish to keep humans like you out of my home, to be left alone. That last word diverges from the monotone of the rest. A dry venom leaks out as he says it. I will take my leave then. You take the rag and drop it onto the table next to him with a wet flop. Before you can walk through the door, however, metal zings through the air and presses hard against your throat. Somehow, being held at knife point feels less threatening the third time around. There is no doubt in your mind he can harm you, but would he? Is he truly threatening you after you dragged him inside, helped? Twice is a coincidence. Thrice is a pattern. Am I to have your blade to my neck every time we meet? The pressure of icy steel increases, yet it seems blunt, like it would not dare puncture your skin. You turn to meet his stare. Are you so lacking in humanity that you would kill someone for helping you? His lips morph into a nasty little scowl. His sword stays pressed right against you. When you saw the corpses outside the first time, you threw up, didn't you? You falsely accused me, yes. Could you take this? You tap the metal against your throat away so I can continue cleaning your mess. Why? Why what? Why would you help? You gave me something to eat. Twice. Others were not as kind, and I know. It is only right. I repay you twice. Now we are even. Even? He sounds incredulous. Tell me the truth. Why are you insisting on treating me when just a moment ago you intended to leave? This man. His lack of logic, of humanity, the uncertainty of his intentions, that his sword still threatens you, that you know not what he is. He infuriates you. I cannot very well leave with your blade to my neck, now can I? Consider it a last act of kindness for a filthy creature bent on ending me for it. He huffs. Have some class. If you assure me that I do not have to fear for my life in your company, I might consider it. So long as you don't attack me, you can be assured of your safety. So take it away. And his blade retreats but hovers near the two of you. Apparently you are not worthy of his trust yet. You grab the cloth and rinse it before starting again. In this way you work your way up his strong arms to his shoulders. Barely above a whisper, he says, I can still rip your throat out. That earns him a glare. Your threats do not scare me anymore. You resume, swiping away the grime on the broad of his chest. I have your word. Only once, any and all traces of puke and pus are gone. Do you put a new rag from the little pile to the neck of the unlabeled bottle containing what you assume to be aqua vitae? Whatever is in there, it was the strongest spirit you could find. You dab at the angry pink lines on his body. From the corner of your eye, on the shelves in the back, you spot a jar of honey. That should help with the pain. He holds still as death, like a good patient. It seems his mind is elsewhere. You do not mind the silence. You wet another cloth with alcohol, rub it over your hands to sterilize them, and reach into the honey pot to slather the glistening amber paste over the lingering lattice which covers his limbs, after which you shield them with makeshift bandages from the bundle on the table. This time, you start at his chest and move out to his shoulder. The wounds on his wrists are the last to be bound with white fabric as pale as he. All the while, he is listless, lost in his own head, letting you handle him like you are playing with a doll. Where can I find a bed or sheets? You need to keep him warm. His current half-naked state would not aid in that regard. He does not answer, so you nudge his shoulder. He startles. His sword races to float right next to your skin. What? It comes out as a hiss, not too unlike the noise a cat backed into a corner would produce. And he has startled you in turn. Once again, your heart hammers against your ribcage, so hard you are sure he hears it. This does not reassure me that your company is safe. At all. The cold steel withdraws, suspended near the corner of the kitchen, not right next to you as it did earlier. He does not apologize. He does not apologize. I asked. You say, where in this maze of a castle can I find bedsheets? Something to cover you, or somewhere you can rest? Until the fever goes down? He starts to speak, but you hold your finger against your lips to signal him to stay silent. To your surprise, he actually does. The scrape of wood against stone fills the room when you decide to sit down on one of the chairs under the table. However, Since you are well enough to threaten me yet again, and this is your home after all, you can go find a bed yourself. May I take my leave, or will your sword stop me again?" Indignant, he turns to lay on his side, away from you. A strained thank you leaves him. You stay right where you are. I need more than empty platitudes. I apologize. He sighs deeply, like it hurts to get the words out, for breaking my word and threatening you. How am I to know you mean it when I cannot see your face? When he moves over onto his other side, to face you, the pure spite on his furrowed brow nearly pulverizes any sort of sympathy for him. Yet then your eyes meet with burning silver, and something so genuine pools there that you cannot tear yourself away from his gaze. I'm sorry. You had not expected it to sound so sincere, so full. Thank you, you say. That something in his eyes is stronger now. You change the subject before it grows unbearable. Now, where can we find you a bed? Now, where can we find you a bed? And that silver something in his eyes, so genuine, is extinguished at the mention of a we. We, he repeats, as if at the most embarrassing circumstance he could find himself in, to be lumped together with the likes of you. I stand corrected. As this is your home, you shall do the explaining. I shall find you a bed. You lean back in the wood of the chair, and the scent of bile reminds you that his jacket lies soaked in the sink, waiting to be washed. And he reeks of it too. His trousers, which you neglected to remove from his person out of decorum, you did not yet clean. So, please explain where to find sheets, some sort of soap, or where you keep the lye, and if there is a beating stick somewhere. And could you undress after I have procured something to cover you up? Your coat stinks, and your trousers do so as well. They are horridly putrid. I cannot bear the smell. His arms are quick to wrap around his half-naked form to shield it from you. At my command, you could be dead in less than a second. Don't push your luck. Could you simply tell me where to find sheets, soap or lye, a beating stick and a bed, you ask, exasperated, please? Soap you'll find underneath the sink. A beating paddle is up on the left shelf, above the basket and pans. He sits up, glaring at you with such outright hostility, it would put the Belmont's chronicles of Dracula's hatred of humanity to shame. I am not telling you where to find a bed. Fine. Fine. Have it your way. Promptly you rise and search in a cabinet under the sink. To your surprise, you find a neat little pile of 10 or so bars of white soap, much like the Castile kind you have only read about. These are expensive and exceptionally gentle, you know. They will not leave your hands blistered and raw after laundering his coat. If the somewhat disfigured splendor of this castle was not enough to tell you what sort of luxuries it might contain, this says all you need to know. The bed sheets are sure to be softer than silk, warmer than a summer's day. They will swallow you whole. What a shame it is he will not explain where to find them. In silence, you take one bar and the beating paddle from the shelf and get to work. The soap dissolves quite easily, almost delicately, like it wants to give your hands nothing but the tenderest care. Already some of the puke has loosened from its soaking, and you work the Castile into the fibers with your hands, rubbing them against the bottom of the basin to further release the worst of the grime. You can feel his stare push into your back. You try not to pay attention to it. Aye! As you grab the paddle, you say not a word. He clears his throat. If he wishes to speak, he should do so now before you fill the room with the regular splash of wood on water. You raise it, ready to strike, and he produces a noise akin to a gasp, like a drenched cat desperately trying to crawl out of a tub. So you hold it, suspended above your head. You wait a moment, and he fails to say a word. So you slam the paddle into his coat with all your might, again and again, releasing all the pent-up frustration this enigmatic man inspires. The water splatters onto your shift, your face, you care not. It feels too good to simply do your thing and have him not bother you with some remark of how deftly he would end you. The absurdity of the situation dawns on you then. It is stubbornness which inclines you to wash his jacket for him, even when it seems he's doing everything in his power to dissuade you from it. Not that he seems helpless, pitiful, like he would never clean it himself if you do not, yet that you are willing to go to such lengths for him. It is ridiculous in and of itself. Out of the two of you, you know not which is the fool. He, for threatening your life in spite of your insistent help, or you, for helping him in spite of his snarky sword. A dry laugh leaves you at the thought. What is it? His quiet query is drowned out by the repeated wet splat of the paddle. At least, such is your excuse for ignoring it. He did not answer one of your questions. Why should you reply to this one? The only way not to let the fear for your life permeate each of your words is to treat the entire thing as a game, tit for tat, to detach yourself from the stakes involved and the constant reminders of his that he can, and likely will, kill you. At this point, the water has stained a sick yellow dark like ochre, and when you take out his coat to inspect, it slides off to leave the fabric, black as night, untarnished and devoid of the smell of acidic vomit. All of that remains in the sink. It is such a relief when the smell slowly disappears as you drain the water away by pushing the rod underneath the tap into the wall. The brass buttons and golden accents are clean as well. No vinegar nor salt was needed, thankfully. You would have loathed to ask him to locate yet more necessities. He has moved to sit in one of the chairs, allowing you to drape his jacket on the table. The last cloth is handed to you to dry the buttons, and you do so without sparing him a glance. I was thinking, you murmur, more to yourself than to him, how absurd this all is. Absurd's just one word to describe your invasion of my home. Horrible. A curse or a plague, any one of those would do. If it bothers you that much, find someone else to do your laundry. I need not mention again that you can kill me at any time. He scoffs. Admit you're doing this for the comforts of the castle, and I will consider disclosing the location of a bed. Now that he mentions it, you had not thought about it in that sense, to do this to secure a place to stay which is far superior than the library. It would be a pretty sweet deal. However, it is difficult to believe he is the one to extend the olive branch. Drops from his coat drip onto the stone floor as you contemplate his offer. He is not telling you that you can stay here, simply that he would explain where to find a bed. Yet once you know the exact route to it, there is little keeping you from sneaking in and seeking it out. If anything, you could plead that a creature of the night is stalking the ruins, preventing you from entering the library. You know you could hold his promise of safety over his head to make him apologize. You would not mind beholding such a satisfying sight again. Does that offer include a bed for me? Becoming a temporary resident would mean the loss of your freedom. Are you to be his slave? It would not. If you're to reside here, I would keep watch over your every move. Failing that, you would not be allowed to roam unsupervised. You'd be confined, like a prisoner. Does that sound agreeable? The last question is posed so stoically, so casually, that you hardly deem it more than a jest. You laugh, but it rings hollow. His eyes of serious silver meet yours, and you know at once that he wholly means it. As your guest, would I have access to a bath? His brow scrunches a little, as if it is preposterous to even question it. Without missing a beat, he answers, "Of course you would. And I would have more to dress myself with than this bloody shift. So long as you don't mind the dust, there is more than enough for you to choose from." That does sound much more agreeable than escaping creatures of the night for a cold crypt of a library in the ground, you say with a slight smile. I am more than glad to admit the shameful reality of my motivations. Consider them to be but a selfish desire to live in luxurious safety. At that, he pales. Not that he could get much paler, but his fever has brought a flush to his face, which has vanished at your indulgence of what was surely nothing more than an attempt to keep you out, not invite you in. Hand on his forehead, he leans into it so his hair comes in front of his eyes like a veil. The second to last corridor on the right, the fourth on your left. There you will find a bed. Inside the dresser should be clothes which fit you well enough. He motions for you to shoo, like he cannot wait to be rid of you. He would let you go, unsupervised, when he explicitly said you are not to go anywhere without him. Before you step through the threshold, you cannot help but ask, "Are you not coming with?" Don't push your luck. His blade floats closer, a warning. You leave the kitchen and follow his directions into an oblong space with two high-pointed windows on the wall, furthest from the door through which you entered. Small rectangular panes divide them into snippets of the outside world. On the right, the view extends to the waning thick of the trees and the looming mountains further back. On the left is a tower reaching for the heavens which juts out from the main castle hall, out of which yet more spires come out, connected by arching bridges and twisting stairways. Amid the windows, a bed of dark oak stands proud. Its headboard has two intricate panels. The first detailing a carved scene of a weeping Pan nearly ripping his eyes out. The next of him cutting his flute from Syrinx's legs. In this depiction, she is half reed, half nymph. It unsettles you, but you can forgive the gruesomeness of it for the softness of these sheets, softer than silk, smoother than velvet. You do not mind the fine powder which has gathered over the course of months. They are so plush, so plentiful. Your whole hand disappears in the vast swaths of them. From here, the entrance is in the right corner, and next to it, in the same corner but on the other side, is a second door. You find this leads to what you assume is a washroom. It has a tub carved into the stone of the floor, a faucet which you think would fill it. This one, though, is different from the one in the kitchen. Its handle does not only go back and forth from the wall to control the rate of the water gushing out, it also can be modulated side to side. A quick test tells you that the left is hot, the right is cold. Where it is heated, what heats it, and why, you care not. It could be magic, but whatever it is, you have a never-before-found lavishness in the very space where you bathe. A washbowl, of the same metal as the sink in the kitchen, with another tap above it, stands perched on wood. From it, a pipe comes down and snakes into the wall. And mounted on the wall is a mirror. For the first time in weeks, you see yourself clearly. Unlike the rippled image in the stream, this vision of you is much, much worse. The caked blood in your shift leaves little crumbs on your collarbones, your face is sunk in, gaunt, dark circles cave in your eyes, and dirt sticks to the underside of your nails. Your hair has splatters of matted red in it. It is greasy, crunchy. You have felt the slick oil stick to your skin after combing it with your fingers each day, but seeing the result of not brushing it with a bristled brush for a little under 3 weeks, and the absence of a veil keeping the grime away, it is another experience entirely. But you do not want to leave him exposed too long. Next to the washroom's entryway is a dresser. On the other side of the room is a bureau. Your nose itches with the puffs of dust that swell up as you open the drawers, and like he said, there are shifts and kirtles, mainly in shades of grey and pale greens, and stockings roughly your size. You slip on but 2 layers. The first, a chemise of fine linen. The gown over it is a woolen blue-grey, which reminds you of a pearl, with shimmery swirling lines of silver thread imbued through its skirt, dissipating like a spider's web at the hem. Some of that same thread features around its wide neckline in little beads, almost toppling over your shoulders, and the cuffs of its sleeves are lined with those as well. As you lace in the front, it feels too ornate, too much for a slave like yourself. The stockings you wear are a deep burgundy in contrast. They peek out with every step you take. After dressing yourself, you gather the bed sheets along with your half-red, half-white shift and return to the kitchen. His sword guards the door but keeps a respectable distance while it follows your every step. The dust glitters in the air when you throw the sheets over a chair. You pull out the rod underneath the tap again and fill the sink with clean water so your shift can soak for a good while before you wash it. He stares at you, puzzled, like you are come from a different planet. God, could he act normal for one moment? As you can see, I have changed into something less, well, dirty. I suggest you do the same. There are sheets to keep you warm while you go find some new garments. I have no desire to watch you undress as you shudder at the thought, but it would be simpler to launder both your pants and my shift at once. His lips turn into a thin little line, then he rises and puts his hands on his hips, pulling the fabric down. You are quick to avert your eyes as soon as you realize his intent. Leave, he hisses, nothing but pure malice dripping from the word. You need not be told twice. Outside of the kitchen, in the semi-open corridor of pillars of the main hall, you wait. The silver man emerges in a bundle of sheets wrapped around him, his feet bare. His sword trails behind him, a reminder he is anything but defenseless. My trousers have a tear in them, keep that in mind. He starts walking off but stops and turns to you, conflicted. Don't make it worse. And he spins around, rushing away into the first hallway he sees. He's stupid, infernally stupid. Maybe the fever has killed the logical part of his brain. How did it end up like this, with you wearing some vampire's old gown, prancing around like you own the place, and worst of all, telling him what to do? He doesn't even think about where he's headed. His feet are just carrying him far away from you. What he should be doing is to stay vigilant, listen for your heartbeat, let the castle tell him where you are. Yet the reality is that he's scared, terrified of a puny human who barged in and cleaned him and treated his wounds. And now he's running with his sword on his heels. From you. You are dangerous, maddeningly infuriating, and maddeningly difficult to figure out. You seem as if you have the best intentions, but you readily admit you're acting for nothing but your own personal gain. And even that he doubts. The loss of one's freedom, no one in their right mind would accept such an offer. Why did you? It was not until he had put the idea in your head that you sought to secure a spot in his castle, the way your heartbeat picked up a little as you pondered it, that told him of the excitement you must have felt as the idea blossomed in your mind. Or you had something more deliberate, sinister in the back of your head, and it signified your nervousness if you were thinking he'd caught you. Obviously, you're aware of alcohol's sterilizing properties, the importance of keeping clean, and honey's antibacterial. Maybe not that aware, but at least you know of its soothing effects. You know how to properly heal someone. Such knowledge alone indicates you understand much more than you let on, that you are capable of calculating your next move. You could know what he is, his weaknesses, how to end him. He turns a corner, vaguely recalls, this is the way to Father's quarters. He just needs to go up 2 stairways and twist through the corridors, right, left, right. And honestly, he would much rather wear his clothes than anyone else's. They are much too big for him, he knows, but he doesn't care. Even if they are full of dust, haven't been worn in decades, have some silly fashionable gimmick of centuries past, they were Father's. Familiar. Something to hang on to in this storm of confusion of which you are the eye. It feels like he's a young boy again, running to his parents' chambers after a nightmare about one of Nautilus's creations, night creatures or the vicious vampires of the court. Or racing with glee to his parents' bed to tell them of a new discovery, to share some miracle of the stars, of science, to be praised so their bright-eyed little son can shine ever more brilliantly. Why he should feel such happiness now, of all times, he thinks, is a mystery best left unsolved. There it stands, the very bed which made him, in a room yet illuminated by another sparkling chandelier of gas flames. This is where he spent many a night reading about the constellations, their stories, like that of his own, of Heracles and the lion. Many a morning with breakfast, something which, no matter how enticing, failed to distract him from the secrets of the body, of the mind, of plants and herbs and compounds, of medicine. He clutches the sheets tighter, harder. It takes everything not to let those damn tears fall from his eyes at the memories, at knowing his past is lost. Forever. His mother dead. His father murdered by his own hands. He shouldn't be here. He does not deserve it. But he's here anyway. He wills the wooden doors etched into the wall to open. God, her dresses are still there, right next to his father's suits and slacks. The lilacs and purples she loved, the occasional blues and blacks she wore to fit in at court, the pure whites of her shifts, only father and he were privy to. They all stare back at him, remnants of a beloved mother, doctor, teacher. Never again will they flow through the hallways in a perpetual game of hide and seek. Never again will she laugh over spilt tomatoes. But what's the harm? You can't see it anyway. The fabric's darker than the stain. Adrian, no, that is not an invitation to smash another. You need to cut them, like so. Now, mind your fingers. We don't want our little son to get hurt, right, Vlad? And his father will never again nod gravely like then, fold his hands over his wife's, whose hands are over his own, holding the knife in a triple hold of love, of family. He swallows a sob. Every day he hates that they're not here. The clash of his mother's bright colors with his father's monochromes, mainly blacks with some whites, rare reds strewn in there somewhere, really does sum up how the two of them were. She brought life to him, awakened something his father thought died a long time ago. She defined him. He had never more than alluded to someone else, someone she reminded him of, but Mother had always been happy with Father nonetheless. One time she'd explained why her love for him ran so deep. By giving her the knowledge to help people, she said. He had shown that he wanted to help humanity, no matter how much it may seem to the contrary. If she'd known he would start a genocide in her name, he wonders, would she have loved him less? Father's capes, they're endless. Endless, like his madness and grief after Mother died. Sometimes he wishes he wouldn't have opposed his war, just to have more time with him, to get to know Dracula the man, Vlad himself. Not through Mother's kind encouragements or how his father was as a teacher. There had always been a certain distance between Father and him. He never doubts that Father loved him, or Mother, but it was always as a parent guides their child, as a teacher instructs his pupils. Not as equals, as two distinct persons. Father, he feels, played his role as best he could, but never allowed his son to see beyond that. He wants to say facade, but he knows Father was never pretending to love, to care. Wall, he decides, is a better word. Father never allowed him to penetrate beyond that wall, to glimpse at the flawed, exceptional genius of centuries behind. That privilege was Mother's, not his. Some of them are enchanted, to cloak the wearer invisible whenever they wish, or to extend into feathered wings, like an angel's, to alleviate the drain of using one's vampiric abilities. A testament to Father's genius. They are not what he's after, though. Shifts dark as coal, doubling as shirts, the mundane is what he needs. That, and trousers and a belt. He needn't bother with more. The castle is warm and the cold never troubled him much, even in sickness. He can worry about his boots later. He left them in the kitchen, next to the sink. He doesn't think you would clean them. Why would you? But he will wipe them off after he comes back. He throws on a dark chemise which, strangely, hugs his neck halfway. The fashions of centuries past, he supposes. Its sleeves are wide but gathered at the cuffs. They're finished with trim of thin red thread in a pattern like a four-sided star, of which the bottom has been stretched taut. More like a kite than a star. The pants he pushes the shift into are loose, too long for his legs, but he rolls them up, and they stay that way with no further fastening required. For a belt, he ties a red sash round his waist. Apparently Father liked those better, since an entire drawer of his built-in closet was dedicated to them. These kinds of things he'd never consider as a boy, much less an adult, yet they give a small insight into the sort of man Vlad Dracula Tepes was. Fully dressed, the doors close again, shutting away his mother's colors and his father's monochromes. It is easier to fight the urge to cry when he's not confronted with the physical remainders of his dead parents. Easier to walk away, to come back to you. When he descends the stairs and makes his way towards the main hall through the ample corridors, the never-ending hallways, he does not need the castle to locate you for him, needn't try at all to listen for your heartbeat. The regular beat of the paddle alerts him exactly to where you are and what you're up to. So you intend not to hide from him for the present. Maybe you sincerely want to help. Maybe this is a ploy, showing your vulnerability to gain his trust. The fever, he concludes, has killed the logical part of his brain. That is how he has become entangled in this shitstorm of which you are the eye. What the fever didn't kill, though, is the instinct for self-preservation. His constant supervision was a wise condition, he reminds himself. It's a condition you agreed upon. Therefore he will observe you, skeptically, intently, and figure you out day by day. The blade trailing behind him is an anchor. It reassures him. If you prove dangerous, you are dead. You wiped his boots with the alcohol-stained, now soap-stained cloths left over before you laundered the clothes in the sink. The Castile-covered leather smells fresh, clean. It surprised you how well it cleanses even animal skin. Your shift needed to soak for a good while anyway. Why not address the stinking boots in the room? It is a shame, though, that you know not where to find polish to shine them. Then they could glitter like the gold thread which serves as a closure. Speaking of Blitter, at the moment you drape your half-pink, half-white shift over a chair and his clean pants over the table next to his coat to dry, the Silver Man walks in. He is clad in black, a color which you feel accentuates the paleness of his skin and hair. Bannerly, he looks like death incarnate, come to take you to the depths of hell under the threat of his blade which trails behind him. In front, he holds out the sheets you gave, as if he does not know what to do with them. Your eyes scan over his form head to toe. You venture to say, "That is barely enough to keep you warm." You are not quite sure what else you can tell him. The cold doesn't bother me. His voice is quiet as ever. It seems his default is to modulate his voice, that it is barely above a whisper, smooth and even at all times. Careful, one might think, but you have a fever. I care not if it bothers you. You must keep warm. Cover up. He has the gall to come in with his feet as bare as when he left. You scrubbed his shoes. For what? He sits down, throws the covers over the chair next to him, and crosses his arms. It does not matter. I would be better by tomorrow. Yes, surely you will be better by tomorrow if you neglect to keep warm like you neglected to wash yourself. You are a fool not to realize it sooner. He cannot see reason. He is mad, delirious with fever, simply insane. His sword floats next to him, yet it is a feature you are growing to forget exists. You pay it no mind as you grab the bedsheets and dump them onto him. Cover up. Underneath them he groans, but he does as told and wraps them around himself once again like a cape. This really isn't necessary. Why? As I've said, the cold does not bother me. I seem to bother you, that is. You're human. Of course you bother me. Yet I am cold, so I should not. He glances over to you at that, like he had not realized the chill about the room. Your rolled-up sleeves and wet arms do not help. His face is neutral, not letting a hint of emotion peek through. The only expressions he deigns you to be worthy of receiving are absolute neutrality, confusion, and a glare. You should probably take a hot bath. You look horrible. A sly smile worms its way onto your face. Under your supervision, I presume, and that schooled facade comes tumbling down. He flushes. You will give him the excuse of the fever for it. Never, he stipulates. No. Why would? No. I'll wait outside your chambers until you are finished and fully dressed. A sick satisfaction fills your gut at the loss of his composure. Yet he regains it again, deftly, and he rises to lead you to your room without so much as a word or a look your way. Exiting the kitchen, you snag the half-used-up bar of Castile soap for your bath. The whole walk he ignores you, 10 steps in front of you at all times, the sword gliding along right next to you. He does not react when you say his boots are clean, neither when you comment on the architecture. Nor when you rush to catch up to him. He speeds without a sound and remains exactly 10 steps ahead. The silent treatment, it seems, is his way of punishing you for whatever you have done wrong. The bath which awaits you, however, is a reward which thwarts anything he could throw at you. Except his blade stuck in your throat, but that is not something likely to happen with your current agreement. How fast your fate evolves. Once the tub is filled with warm water, you revel in such luxury as you have never felt before. Castile soap, soft on your skin, cleans the blood out of your hair much better than it did your shift. At the drunkard's, you had but a wet rag and a bowl of dirt to wash yourself. At your old master's tower, you would heat up enough liquid to fill the trough in his quarters and heave it up the stairs by the bucket. After him, you would enjoy a lukewarm bath. As long as whatever you did that day did not involve explosions or foul-smelling acids, it would be good enough to clean yourself. But it still burns in the back of your mind. What is the Silver Man? He is not invulnerable, therefore. A vampire more powerful than Dracula himself is out of the question. Most things revolving this Dracula are but speculation. And, truth be told, you have not seen his mouth open enough to see for yourself if he has fangs or not. He may not be a vampire like you had initially thought. He might be a mad magician, recluse in a destitute ruin which stands only as a testament of his magical capabilities. Yet human magicians, at least the ones you read of, are more elemental in nature, summoning ice, fire, and wind from their fingertips. An enchanted sword reeks of alchemy, of a ritual rather than magic. But flight? Nothing except wings, or an exceptional dexterity at wind magic would explain that. Or the inherent ability of being born a vampire. Oh God, is he the product of someone's attempt at the great work? The end goal of alchemy, to reconcile the chaos of the world, culminates into the rebis, a putrefied and purified fusion of matter and spirit in a body both male and female. Two bodies into one, two souls. And he? Well, the only things marking him as male are his voice, the lack of two mounds on his chest, and the bulge in his pants. Was it the former master of this castle? Did he kill them? Was it two masters? Are they the ones staked outside? Yet if he were, where are the stitches? Nowhere on his torso. Or did they have a more sophisticated method of dealing with that problem? Is that why he has those cuts everywhere? That scar drawn across his chest like it had been some gaping hole in the past? Are his insides female, his exterior male? And it flashes right behind your eyes, the worst kind of headache. You would like to go down to the library to retrieve your copy of the Bellua Obscura to clear this up, to distract you. After all, you have only gotten to the Cyclops, the one that turns you to stone if you lock eyes. Your hand cradles your forehead and pinches your brow. You blow frustrated bubbles in the water. You close your eyes. Lean back. You let your head disappear under the surface. It is impossible. It is impossible! If it has to be, it has to be. He is more likely to be Dracula himself, with all the speculation and myths surrounding him and whatnot, than an attempt at a goddamned rebis. And then, you know not if he has fangs like a vampire, if he is not some mad magician drinking the days away. What is he? If only you knew. You would have some inkling on what he intends to do with you, what he accomplishes by having you as a temporary resident of the castle. Temporary. Is that to be a threat, to make you dependable on his kindness? Yet his sword is threat enough. The breath in your lungs comes out in more bubbles, frustrated at him, your lack of knowledge, his conduct. You come back up, take in a refreshing breath of moist air. Your skin glows with the heat of your bath. The cloth you grabbed from the drawer earlier you used to dry yourself, and you slip back into the grey dress of pearls. Here, next to the wash bowl, is a little cabinet atop which lies stale rose water. The shriveled petals nearly disintegrate, a half-dried aloe leaf, and honeycrumbs infused with rosemary. To the right of these is a bristled brush and a set of ribbons with a wooden hair needle. As your hair is wet, though, the brush would not do much. Your digits comb through the tangled instead, gently, and you simply braid it into two plaits at the base of your skull, working a thin, silvery ribbon similar to the color of the dress into two of the three strands at the ends, and wrapping and tying them so they are secure. You wet the cloth you used to take stray droplets from your skin with a tap above the wash bowl, clean it with some soap, and dab at the caked blood of the cut on your neck. You wash your hands next. The honeycrumbs are sticky when you smear them over the pink line across your skin. It is barely open, with a little red welling up, but that amount is negligible in light of his wounds. You wring out the rag so it is moist but not soaking wet, and bind it comfortably tight around your throat. When you look in the mirror, you think this vision of you is much, much better than the one you saw when you entered this washroom the first time today. Satisfied, you emerge out of your chambers. But his sword stops you before you can take another step out into the corridor. He sits, huddled in sheets against the wall. He is shivering. Are you all right? You come down to his level, but the blade presses against your chin, raising you up again. Don't! He stares at the tiles of the floor, avoiding your concerned gaze. Just go back inside. Don't come out. He rises. His sword retreats from your skin, but remains in front of you. He glides away, like a ghost. If you venture out to the halls, I will know. My advice to you, don't. Go then. You bite them out, the words. See if I honor our agreement. You turn on your heel and slam the door a little harder than necessary. Rebis or not, he is insufferable. It would not be too late to go back to the library, would it? You wonder if you made the right decision. The benefits, far outweigh the faults of what you have agreed to. You hope that, in time, it will start to feel like it too. The feeling of boredom has never enveloped you as much as it does now. The sun has set, the sky has grown dark, and you can see the twinkling of the stars above the mountains. There is not even a fire to keep you warm. Your pillage of the dresser has you donning 2 more woolen kirtles under the dress of pearls, one a pasty green, the other a mousy gray. A compartment hidden at the back of the shift drawer you found holds long linen pads stuffed with moss. They have strings to attach to the leather belt currently on the outside of your waist. At least you will not suffer the embarrassment of having to ask the Silver Man how they dealt with the monthly bleeding in this castle. The desk holds nothing more of value. It is empty, all its contents removed, save for a few blank papers, a well-used vial of ink, and a single quill. And a dried spider next to its web. You long to add it to your little collection back in the library, to discover its name, if you had encountered its kind before. For the moment, you feel that exploring this room would not bring forth many more exciting discoveries. Underneath the mattress and pillows is nothing but dust. The quill has no special cut to make the ink flow any better than ones you are already aware of. The paper is not made of a special hide or linen, as far as you can tell. There is not some secret diary hidden away full of secrets for you to feast on. Thus, the feeling of boredom has never enveloped you as much as it does now, sprawled on the mattress of the bed without any covers. For those are wrapped around him, not you, your eyes closed, listening to the rustle of the falling leaves. You know not what day it is, but you doubt he would either. A knock brings you out of your dozing, back to reality. Speak of the devil, but you do not feel like getting up. And he has not warranted any goodwill to deserve such effort from you. You call out a bleary, "Come in!" It creaks when he opens the door and comes in. A waft of wine enters, and the salty smell of dried meat is equally as apparent. You turn on your side to see him approach, sheets tied at his throat like a cape. His hands hold 2 plates full of dried meat, mashed parsnips and red currants, and his sword floats to one of the posts of your bed. At that, you rush to sit upright on the edge of the mattress. He holds out one of the dishes, on which is a spoon next to the food, and you crinkle your nose as you take it. The reek of alcohol is too much for your tastes. Have you been drinking? None of your concern, he says, a little louder and harsher than anything else that has left his mouth. He plops down on the corner of the bed, as far away from you as possible, waiting. You eye him, befuddled. This is not poisoned, is it? With a glare of silent disdain, he swipes the plate out of your palm and hands you his own. That is one way, you suppose, of proving it is not. He seems not in the mood for conversation. If he is always like this when drunk, you would like to avoid drinking with him. Still, he waits. The two of you are staring at each other, waiting to see who breaks away first. At least you are, and you will not let him win. A while longer, and he clicks his teeth in disapproval. It is getting cold. It is getting cold, which doesn't bother me, but it does you. He waves his spoon about before scooping up a bite of the parsnip. Just eat. And when he puts it in his mouth, you catch the glint of something longer than it should be. But in this low light, with no candles to guide you, you cannot be certain that it is not your imagination playing tricks on you. You swallow your fear and pop a red currant on your tongue. You eat quietly. He does not ask about you, and you ask nothing of him. You bear the smell of liquor coming off of him by distracting yourself with your meal. He has eaten it all before you have finished half. The way he studies you in the absence of any preoccupation feels uncomfortable. In this low light, his eyes seem to glow silver. Is this the time, after lulling you into a false sense of security, that he shall strike? Between each bite, you shift yourself a little further away from him, eventually bumping your back against the dark oak of the bed's headboard. Dracula, Rebis, or magician, that sword is behind him, ready to slit your throat. Before, you did not heed it. Even after he had threatened you despite his word. Once you could forgive. But twice has it been at your neck now, and for that second time, he has not apologized. That second time had proven what you were unwilling to see the first time. He will, without hesitation, kill you whenever he feels like it. Your spoon comes down for the parsnip, but there is nothing left on your plate. He undoes the knot of the sheets draped over his broad shoulders, pushes them onto the bed. You watch him rise and come closer. His blade stays where it is, yet you hear your blood rush through your ears. His hand reaches towards you, his nails long as claws. Why had you not minded them earlier? He could pierce right to your heart with those, and your spoon clatters onto your plate. He grabs them from your lap. You need to do something, anything to distract him from the thought of ending you right then and there. Thank you, you say, hastily getting the words out, for the food. You cross your arms, shielding your chest in case he wants to stab out your heart, your lungs. He freezes for a moment, as if your gratitude surprises him. And he retreats without a sound, his steps noiseless on the stone tiles. The door creaks open. Don't leave the room. He pauses, stood on the threshold, his blade illuminated from behind by the glow of the torches in the corridor. Good night. The door closes, leaving you shrouded in darkness. You spread the sheets over the whole of the bed and climb under them. Normally you never go to sleep this early, but all that has happened today has tired you. You wish not to think, not to worry anymore tonight. Although it is much too late for him to hear, you whisper back, good night. With 4 layers of fabric hugging you and the covers to keep you warm, you soon feel yourself drifting away.